Welcome back to another episode of Learning Together, Caldwell County Schools podcast. I'm Chief Information Officer Nathan Pope, and I'm joined today by the beginning teacher mentor team, Ms. Heather Poole, Ms. Angie Johnson, and Ms. Nancy Phipps.
Hello.
So I know that we interchange and we use a lot of acronyms in education. That's something that we're really good at, an acronym, right? So the listeners might hear the term BT a lot. So one of you tell me what BT means.
Well, a BT stands for beginning teacher, and it is basically any teacher that is in their first 3 years of teaching. So they could be right out of college, they could be in their second career, just any teacher that's in the first 3 years.
And you all are BT mentors. So tell me what you do as BT mentors.
We wear lots of hats. Our job is to acclimate to beginning teachers to the teaching profession. Our goal is to retain them in the classroom. One thing that we do is provide professional development that's specifically tailored to the needs that a beginning teacher has. We're able to go into their classrooms and observe them and provide informal feedback that doesn't count for their evaluation so that we can help them work through some of the kinks in their lesson planning or in their instructional delivery. We also have some equipment that we use to video record a teaching lesson so that we can either provide live coaching during the lesson or that we can give the video to the teacher to watch after the fact so that we can watch it with them and help them identify areas for improvement.
We're also there for emotional support. We are their advocate. We're there to listen to them. We're there to just be an ear whenever they need to vent, just to kind of give them a place to open up to.
And we also bridge the gap between the Ed Center, resources in the county, because a lot of them coming in, they're not from here, they don't know where to go. We help them do anything from finding somewhere to live, to where to pay your cable bill, to what resources can I go to bring back to my classroom. So we just kind of do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, a lot of the teachers that you help are very young, fresh out of college,
Yes.
usually 22, 23, and I think everyone can agree that period of life, you feel like you know it all, and then you realize that you don't really. So having someone in your profession that can help you through the steps and help you navigate the obstacles that you maybe did not see coming is really impactful. And you mentioned how a lot of what you do, well, not, I wouldn't say a lot because you're very involved in the classroom each and every day with your mentees. But some of the things that you assist them with go outside of the classroom. So I'm curious, when you were a beginning teacher, what would that have meant to you to have that, the type of support that you're offering? How would it have made your experience different?
I'll just tell you that when I was a beginning teacher, I was in 3 different schools my first 4 years. And that was because I didn't have a place where I found that I fit. I wasn't connected within the school. I feel like it's really important that you interview the school just as much as the school interviews you to find the right place. My mentor was in a different grade level, and she taught a different subject level than I did, so we never had a common planning time. And so I never saw that person during the day. And so it was really me being by myself. And because of that, at the end of my first year, I left my first school. I went to a totally different area in the state, and I taught 2 more years. And that wasn't the right fit either. I didn't have the support that I needed until finally in year 4, I found the place that was the right fit for me. So if I would have had somebody to pour into me, somebody that I could talk to or invest time in me, somebody that I could ask questions to without making me feel like I was inadequate or didn't know what I was talking about, I would not have been in 3 different places my first 4 years.
So I'm also curious, you mentioned the early part of your career. If each of you could tell us your background in public education and as an educator and how you landed here as a BT mentor.
My background, my mom was a first grade teacher, and so I knew from a very young age that I wanted to be in the classroom. I got the North Carolina Teaching Fellows Scholarship, and that took me to East Carolina University. When I graduated from there, then I knew I wanted to teach, but like I said, I didn't find the right fit. I taught for 13 years before coming to Caldwell County. And my husband was in the district at the time, and he said, Heather, if there's a job that has your name written on it, this is it. And he was right, because when I was a beginning teacher, I got my master's degree, and I wrote a thesis. And my thesis was on the teacher attrition rate and why so many people leave the profession in the first 5 years, because I was going to be one of those statistics. Like I said, I moved around quite a bit in my first few jobs. And so it's always been in the forefront of my mind of, okay, I'm continuing to teach and I'm still here, but the odds were not in my favor when I first started. And so when this job became available in 2010, Caldwell County had just started the mentor program, and I was here when they initiated that. And my husband was right. I'm extremely happy and very blessed to have this role as a mentor for beginning teachers.
How about you, Angie?
Well, actually, I never wanted to be a teacher, ever. I don't know if I've ever even told you guys that, but I never played school with my dolls. Had no desire. But I knew I wanted to go to college, and I was going to be the first one in my family to go. But I also knew I was going to have to pay for it, because there's no way my parents could do that. So I applied for every single scholarship, including the North Carolina Teaching Fellows, and I got it. And so I thought, well, I'll teach for 4 years, and that'll pay back my scholarship, and then I'll go on and do other things, because I was going to be a doctor, which is funny because I can't stand blood. That was never going to happen. But when I got into the education program, into schools, I was like, oh, this isn't so bad. But when I actually started teaching and started working with kids, I realized that I love kids, and that's where I'm supposed to be. And so I taught high school. I love high school and middle school kids. And I taught for 23 years. And when this job became available, I was really excited about it, because I was seeing a lot of teachers that I felt just sometimes, you get bogged down and you forget why you're there. You forget how much you love the kids and that you're there for them. Mm-hmm. And so I wanted to help people remember that.
And I became a teacher and eventually a mentor because of a little boy in my 4th grade classroom named Scotty. And Scotty was the little boy that was always picked on. In fact, they called him Stinky Snotty Scotty. And I always had a soft spot for him. And long story short, he was picked on, and just terrible things happened to him. And I decided truly in the 4th grade that I wanted to be in a classroom where I was the leader, that I could keep children safe and I could keep everybody felt loved. And so I became a teacher, and I taught kindergarten and 2nd and 3rd grade and 4th grade, and I loved it. And then with my husband's job, we moved, and I kept seeing all of these wonderful students, but nobody wanted to teach them. And I thought, you know what? I need to teach teachers to love teaching as much as I do. And so I said, I want to be a mentor. I want to help them love it like I love it. And so that's why I wanted to become a mentor.
All of the guidance that I have witnessed you provide to your mentees has been invaluable. And you really make a difference. And I hear that from your mentees when I'm around the district. But I'm curious if there's one piece of advice that you give to each of your mentees that you find really meaningful that you would like to share, what would that be? Any of you go first.
Well, I have learned over the years to give yourself grace. We're not perfect. We're not going to be perfect. But if you remember that you're doing it for those children, and that if your heart is in the right place, give yourself grace to make those mistakes and learn from them, and just be the best you can be, and that will reflect on into your students as well. So that will be my advice. Give yourself grace.
And my piece of advice is balance. I'm an overachiever, and I put 120% into everything that I do. And so it's difficult sometimes to give everything to every aspect of your life. And I know that beginning teachers come in are overly ambitious. They have this idealistic mindset of what it's going to be like to be a classroom teacher, and they'll stay at school until 5, 6, 7 o'clock. They'll take things home and spend time away from their family or away from their children, planning lessons or grading papers or contacting parents or all the things. And so the piece of advice I have is to find a balance between work and home. And whether that means finding one afternoon a week, even if you stay 4 days, find one afternoon that you leave at a normal time so that you can do things for yourself or for your family. And it does get easier over time. But if you start that from the very beginning in your routine, then you're able to provide for all different aspects of your life.
Mine would be to remember that we're there for kids. And anytime you're not sure what to do in any situation, if you think to yourself, what is in the best interest of the student, that is what we should do. Because when we do what is best for the kids, then we're always doing the right thing.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I hear your little pieces of advice. Like I said, when I go around, and even I have learned some things. Many of your mentees have told me that you advise them to make sure they have deposited enough into a student's account before they make a withdrawal, to make sure that they build them up and make them confident before they start giving them the type of feedback that they might need to improve. And I think that's something that we can live with in life. Make sure you're making more deposits than withdrawals, just with anybody. But I love hearing your stories, but the thing about the mentor program is that its success is not only proven from the stories, but proven on paper. And a few months back, you won a very important award from the North Carolina School Boards Association for innovation and excellence in public education, because in the state of North Carolina, the beginning teacher attrition rate, that is, beginning teachers who leave the profession within the first 3 years, is around 15%. But thanks to the work you all are doing here in Caldwell County, ours is just over 1%. We are a fraction of the state average. So I know you can't hear the people out there applauding right now, but they probably are, because I'm sure parents appreciate that the teachers that impact their students' lives stick around thanks to the work that you're doing. So how does it feel to know that you're making that big of an impact on the education in your community?
It's really powerful. When you're a classroom teacher, you impact the lives of every child in your classroom, and you impact the other adults and people in the community that you're working with. As a mentor, each of us serve multiple schools, and so our impact is not only confined to a classroom or to a school building, but it's more widespread than that. And so it's really humbling for us to see that what we're doing is making that kind of impact, because I told you at the very beginning, our goal is retention. We have children, that have been in the public school system, and we want them to have great teachers as well. And so if we're able to support beginning teachers and keep them here, keep them happy, give them the tools and resources that they need to do the best with the students they're teaching, then the impact is going to be long-lasting.
Happy teachers. That's what we're going for, right? So the way that I like to close this podcast, and I do the same thing with every guest, we call it Learning Together, because as you all know, in Caldwell County Schools, we're creating a community of learning that goes beyond classrooms and school buildings. So I would like for you to share with me something that you have learned from your community recently.
Well, I think that I have learned something very special because I am not originally from here. And so I can see things as an outsider coming in, and it's very apparent the impact it has on not only our students and our teachers, but our community as a whole when we all work together. Because if the community is not invested, if our schools and our parents and our teachers are not invested in our students, then they're not going to be as successful as they could be. And so coming from places that didn't always understand that, and now that I'm in Caldwell County, it's amazing to me because we really do work as a community. Businesses work with us, just grandparents. I mean, everybody, their goal is their kids, their students. And it's just amazing the things that can be accomplished. So that's something that I see as an outsider. not from here coming in.